getting like couple brand deals, like $500, $300 here and there. Go to LA. I was in LA for a month. I got an email. I got another email from this lady. Another email. I'm like, she's telling me she want me to work, but she's not giving the rate. So I was like, hey, yeah, what is it? Man, it was we must have squeezed about this one video. The budget was
So
$9.
in the convo room today, we got Sean Jones Jr. Let me just tell you, first, I stumbled, literally stumbled. I might have been like doom scrolling one day and just looking for like workout inspiration. And then one of your videos popped up and I was like, oh, I love the story. I think the first one I came across was, I think you were getting ready to move from California at the time. And you were just talking about just personal development, getting, that 1% better every day. And I was like, I gotta hit follow. I gotta see the journey. I love what you're building, what you're doing, the message. And so I'm honored that in relaunching for season 2 of my podcast that you were gracious enough to say yes. So man, just thank you for being here today.
No doubt, man. I gotta give it right back to you. I appreciate you for having me. Um, you really never know who you're impacting and how you're impacting them. So, it was easy for me to say yes to this because I would kind of be going against myself, right? To not put back into what I'm putting into content, what the whole purpose of this thing is. So, like I said, man, I appreciate you having me, and obviously you building this thing up and you got a vision for yourself and for the podcast. So the fact that, this conversation is just going to be a percent of that pie, that sweet, good, delicious pie, right?
Yeah.
That's
Now,
exciting for me.
don't be getting on here talking about pie, because like I'm just now trying to eat right. Okay, so like we'll get into all that,
For
but
sure. For sure.
some of us are recovering snackers over here. Okay, so we trying to keep our lives together.
I had a bad too, bro. You're not alone.
All right, so before we start getting into health, fitness, and even I feel like you're like dibbling and dabbling in some of the lifestyle content. I really want to talk about how you went from, I mean, you walked away from a full ride basketball scholarship. And, this seems to be a theme with a lot of the creators I'm talking to recently, where it's like you are literally walking away from not just college, but a dream. I'm just assuming it was probably a dream for you to play basketball. You then get a scholarship to do it, and then you're walking away from maybe this version of yourself that you've known since you were a kid. Like, talk to me about what was going on in your mind, how you came to that realization.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think I can speak for a lot of people when I say that, a lot of our dreams and aspirations sometimes are handed to us from individuals that don't necessarily know your heart posture and take the time to understand who you are. And sometimes it's your own parents, right? They are in the flow of life and, they want to make sure they provide for you. And the last thing they want is you to be a homeless man under a bridge. So, they try to take what they know and what they've experienced and what they've seen and kind of throw it on you. So I would say that decision, it was me stepping away from a dream that was handed to me and really taking the risk to discover what I genuinely wanted. And I was willing to be able to look back and be like, I did want basketball and the end of it. Like I was so curious to what my life could have been because I never really spoke on that. I never really did things that genuinely made me happy. One, just all my friends are athletes. So I don't want to be the outcast, the weirdo taking different classes and extracurriculars and stuff like that. And part of it was just staying the course for my parents. But the pivotal moment for me was after high school graduation. My family took my best friend and I to the Bahamas. You know, in the Bahamas, you 18, you're an adult, you could drink and all of that. And so I was in the adult pool, my buddy and I, Rob, and these older ladies came up to us. They were so intrigued because we had these baby faces, and they like, "What y'all doing over here?" And you know, we told them we graduated high school, on to what's next. And I was so proud to say I had a full ride basketball scholarship. And my friend, on the other hand, he didn't know. He was like, "I'm thinking about going to trade school, and like, I really don't know." And he got so much attention. Like, no, they didn't ask any more questions to me, and they weren't curious about my journey at all. They were like, "It's okay to figure things out. College ain't for everybody." And they were just so passionate and like I said, curious about his route and his stagnance in a way, that confusion as a young adult. And it put me in a depression that maybe I am not, or maybe this idea is not what it seems to be. And mind you, I had already been having these thoughts like, I'm doing this for people, not myself. There's a version of me that I'm curious about, but I haven't tapped into ever. Like I would do it I was drawing, like I wanted to be a tattoo artist, but I never told anybody. I would send my friends pictures that I drew of tattoos, like very, very well drawn pictures. I'm artistic, creative. Uh, so that opened my eyes that day. And I went to school. I ended up going. And the program was building around me. I was the star player. I was the face of that college at the time. Like I was in preparation in the off season leading up to game time, and I broke my wrist the week before the first game. I broke my wrist, and what I did was my coach wouldn't let me go home. He said, "You got to stay with your teammates," which, rightfully so. But I started to film and document my teammates. So that's how it all started. And that I started playing ball when I was 3. So that like early on spark basketball gave me, recording my teammates gave me. And then what happened was that college didn't have any programs or degrees or curriculums for production. So I said, you know what? I went to my coach's office, let him know I'm moving to LA. I'm taking a risk, taking a chance on myself. I really have found and discovered a new passion. I don't want to be, well, where my head is. I couldn't honestly show up to practice and show up for this team, with how distracted I was with other things. And I'm like, as bad as y'all want me to be here, like I don't feel, you know, as a man, I'm not. My head is not in it. My heart isn't in it. He slammed the door in my face. He made me take the socks off my feet because we had team socks and team shoes.
Stop playing.
He made me. I'm like, you want the socks back? You know how many times I wore these socks?
Ow!
You
Oh,
want the
that's next
socks
level
back,
petty right there.
all right? And at 19 years old, I had to be a man about it. That was like my first conversation, tough conversation I had to have with any man, and it was an eye opener for sure.
What did you learn about yourself when you walked out barefoot? Like what was going through your head?
I mean, I don't know if I learned more about myself in that moment, but I learned that the anticipation, the monster we create in our minds about what we believe or how we believe something is going to happen is usually 10 times scarier than the actual situation. And it made me more confident walking out, you know. It was something I was nervous. I was pacing in the hallway before walking in there. And it's funny because the assistant coach, he helped me like as I was prepping, he like, bro, you are bold and I respect you for how bold you are about making a decision. So he was waiting at the door, like kind of listening in on the conversation. And to this day, that coach like asked me for help. Like he will reach out via DM, like, bro, you really did it. Like you really did what you said.
Yes. Well, because not many people stick with it, you know?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I think there's something to be said about the consistency. And I would argue you call it boring. I call it discipline, but you've been documenting just your process. I mean, even the most they would seem random, but I feel like it's actually now it's just on trend. Like people are documenting their lives in a way that it doesn't over sensationalize what they have going on. I love how you're documenting showing up
Mhm.
and doing what you said you were going to do.
Yeah.
Not for anybody else, but you're doing what you said you were going to do for the growth that you set out for at the beginning of whatever that whatever your goal was. And I know that you got this lock-in challenge
Mhm.
that we're going to talk about, and I'm sure before you were able to, I don't want to say I'm sure, let's just assume before you were able to launch a challenge like this, maybe
Yeah.
there were some mental, maybe there were some emotional things that you kind of had to overcome to be a person that could, break through that kind of challenge. Um,
Yeah.
Talk to me about the breakthroughs that you kind of had to have, especially, I mean, you've moved to LA. I mean, it's on you now. So how do you get from that point to where you don't know anything about what you're doing to now you're helping others lock in?
Yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna take it back a little bit. So after that conversation, I wanted to move to LA. I had a buddy in LA living. He said, bro, we could split rent, yada yada. He had some crazy housing situation going on, like 5 tenants in a 2 bedroom, like half the living room was curtain, crazy like that. So I started shooting videos. I was doing like prom and just getting like paid $75 here, $150 here. And I saved a whopping 800 bucks. And I got in my car and I drove to LA from Chicago, Illinois. I'm from Chicago. So the 28-hour drive, I had two of my buddies with me. And I get there, I get a parking ticket for 90 bucks. Mind you, it took 350 bucks in gas to get there, like stopping getting gas. I cut that 800 in half immediately.
That's a movie.
So
Go ahead. Sorry.
get there, first parking ticket, 90 bucks. Okay. Next, I think the day after, car gets towed. When your car get towed, every day in there it gets more expensive, right? I had to pay to get that out. Now I'm at zero. Rent is due. I only have to pay 300 bucks, and I don't have like expensive rent, but I'm 19. I've never paid a bill a day in my life. So I shot a music video out there, found a way, hustled that, did that, and I didn't eat like 2.5 weeks. I think I ate water. It got to a point, bro, where I was like, I would wake up, my air mattress was deflated because I had a hole in it, and when I stood up, I would pass out. Like I would see stars. I was so malnourished, right?
Sean.
The average person would have been like, "Mom, obviously I need." And I said, "If I if I ask my mom for money, I'll always ask my mom for money." This was something raised by a single mom. I didn't really have the masculine familiarity within. I didn't tap into my masculine energy. I didn't know how to make money. I didn't know how to get a job and work strenuous hours just to provide. I didn't have these things. My mom took very good care of me and she made sure that I didn't have to do that. She made me focus on being an athlete. So I'm like, this is something I gotta figure out. It's something I gotta get myself out of. And I ended up applying to hella jobs. I ended up getting a job at Foot Locker on Hollywood Boulevard. I worked there for about 6 months before I decided to go back home to Chicago. Still 19 at the time. And on my last day, my manager told me, you weren't supposed to get this job. I said, I wasn't supposed to get the job. What you mean? She said, everybody was ready to let you go. I was so malnourished. I couldn't get a haircut. Like I could have just imagined my energy at this interview right at the time. And she said, but I thought you were the most adorable thing ever. And I convinced them to get you a job. And I said, wow. I said, look at God. Yeah, for sure. Shout out her for sure. But just that was God showed himself in that moment for me. And I talk a lot about how when God becomes your God, right? Most of us raised Christian, raised in the religion that our family believes. You know, it's kind of the family God. It's like I show up with my family to church, and you know, but the moment like that relationship becomes your own, everything changes. And that was one of those revelations to me that something was going on. I don't know. Can't can't say I made that happen. I can't. I showed up nappy headed and 3 weeks malnourished, bro. Like I can't. You know what I'm saying? That's you got to show up your best at any job interview for anything. And I showed up my worst. All I had to give was my spirit. You know, like whatever I had, I just showed up. I took my feet there, and that was like number one. That was like the first thing I overcame, and was like, okay. When you go through something like that, bro, it's like, how can you be afraid to lose? I mean, I think the next phase out of that was homelessness, but I basically was that, right? It doesn't get any worse than that. It can't. It can't, right? So I'm like, okay, fear lowered, faith took up a notch. So I said, let's apply this to some comfort. Let me go back home and let's see what we can do with being on mom's couch again, things like that. And I kind of played that game for the next 5 years. Just I got some sales jobs, sharpened my sales skills, hated them, didn't last long, but I got to experience real world transactions and sales and learn how psychologically people are dealing with this type of stuff. I did insurance. I tried carpentry. Almost ruined my life in freaking carpentry. I learned that I don't like working with my hands. I like working with my mind. And yeah, like I said, I just played this game, doing videos, and the only thing that has remained the same is just the vision of not necessarily what I wanted, but who I wanted to be. I didn't want to be scared anymore. It was I'm 6'3", so it's a 6'3" confident, faithful, giving man that has a suitcase of gold to give, and gold being literal and physical. Just a man that can pour into any and everybody he experienced, and a man that wasn't afraid to create whatever came to his mind, you know? And so what he did has it shifted over the years. Like one time it's like, oh, I want to be a real estate agent. I can see myself being that in a real estate agent. But that's when I knew I started like understanding what my purpose was and what my anointing was, that it wasn't what I did, it was who I was in doing that. And once I started to understand, it didn't matter what I did, because every room I walk in, I will be this version. Man, that's when life got really, really interesting.
How
Really interesting.
so? How so?
Just took the pressure off. It took the edge off of the expectation that there's a thing that I will access, a career that I will land in that will just be the finish line of life as far as troubles, problems, and all of that. The journey of everything started to become the destination, because I started to realize every level I went up to that I was praying for in the last season felt the exact same, especially as I was approaching leveling up again. It was weird. It was weird. And I don't know if I'm making sense right now, but
You are. I mean,
this is yeah.
so not to hijack your story, because I definitely want to learn more about you, but
Yeah.
so my going let's go back to like something you said initially. I grew up in church. I mean, all I know is church. And so much so that, of course, I feel like a lot of times, especially if you are musically inclined at all, it's like, oh, you joining the choir, you playing in the band, you're doing
Yeah.
something, and you gonna serve God
Hmm.
with your gift. There's no question about it. If you have an ounce of talent to do anything, and so my whole life was music ministry. I mean, like literally it became my career, and to the point that I kind of reached a spot after, let's say, so let me be clear, at around 16 or so, I started like leading worship for a church. I happened to like grow up in a mega church here in Atlanta. And then like that stage and that foundation, it opened up so many doors. Like at the time, I didn't know like, oh, this is going to give you a career. Like, I went to college, but it was like, you don't need no degree. Like people are going to call you because of your experience and where you've been. And so it led to like many hops and jumps around the country, opportunities. I like met my wife when I moved to Indianapolis for a little bit. And then we made the decision, and like it was one of those situations to where kind of like when you first moved to LA, even though I was from here and this is like, you know, it's home, like doors were not opening. And that was very foreign to
Mhm.
me
Yeah.
because I mean, like, I'm the type to where, like, I barely had like, I was making a resume just out of, needing to show up to a interview,
Yeah.
because it's like, well, that's the professional thing to do. But like, people like would literally like, hey, we want you to do this job. So, you know, that was crazy. And then I ended up getting an offer like out of state. So then, ended up moving to Florida for a bit, then got recruited during the pandemic to move to Colorado. And then after like, once I had so many experiences under my belt that were, um, th- I was, you know how you talked about like you were living somebody else's dream? Like me jumping on somebody else's team turned into them wanting me to be something that I was not. And I think post like 2020 was really tough because it was like a cultural rub where, I kind of got to the point where I was just like, I don't got no time for tokenism. I don't, all money ain't good money. Like
Yeah.
if it doesn't align, it doesn't align. And so seeing that moment for me, like I get it with what you're saying, like, because it's like, as you level up and you have these experiences where it's like, hey, I was praying for this. Now I'm here. God opened the door. Like it's like I'm literally living a dream, and I should not be ungrateful about this at all. But there was still this voice in the back of my head that was kind of like, hey, I I might be calling you to do something different. And yes, you can be just as anointed in Photoshop as you can if you hold a microphone. Yes, you can be just as called and just as purposed by God to do what you do. And it's not in the performance aspect of what you've known for your whole life. So I totally, I feel like I get where you're coming from. And I think something that was super helpful for me, particularly like going from, because like now my job, I work for a nonprofit, and building this content creator thing from the ground up. I've had many starts and stops. Now we're starting again. But I say that to say systems and like processes, as like unglamorous as they are, have been the thing that kept me focused and kept me on track. And I'm curious for you, what did you do to kind of get yourself to a space where you were kind of able to achieve that 1% better every day, whether it was recording a video, going to the gym, like what what systems did you set up for your life so that way you could become the person that you saw in that vision?
One system, and it was more of a promise than a system, just to never lose sight of the vision. I can't say that I had a system until recently, within the last 3 months. I kind of been winging it for 5 years. And when I say winging it, intentionally winging it, I tried to leave myself open to everything. And I had experienced what I experienced so young with trying to move to LA and like start that dream, that I was so open to anything. I didn't know. Like, I didn't know what I wanted. I didn't know how I wanted it. I don't have any entrepreneurs in my family. I don't have any videographers in my family. I don't have any videographer friends. I didn't have any entrepreneur friends. I'm literally a baby at this point, and I don't know where to start. I don't know what's the next step to take. All I know is for as long as I know where I want to be, like I will make a decision. I will ask the right question. I will look up the right thing on YouTube, and I just kind of played that game. But it was more of a when things got rocky, let's make sure we're consuming the right information to keep you focused on the vision because it is possible. It's not over. It's it will happen for as long as you stay in belief that it will happen. That was the biggest thing for me. Now it's workout every single day. Even on my off days, I'm walking. I'm staying active. Uh, I sat down with myself recently and was like, okay, what does the next 5, 10 years look like using technology and AI to help me compress my ideas into actionable steps. So now I'm started my community, the 14-day lock-in. This is the first phase of collecting data, right, from real life men on the same pursuit as I am to see what is missing in the marketplace so that I can invest in my own company and start something huge that I can exit for hundreds of dollars in, you know what I'm saying, sometime in the future. So right now it's just it's being intentional, playing a long game. I'm even with accepting this conversation, right? My hope was that I make an impression on you, you make an impression on me, and this is a relationship that can go beyond this interview. And I knew where my heart was going into it. That's a step to get 1% better. Relational equity is a thing. That is a thing. That is something that's very, very important. And that's that's all a part in a contribution to being 1% better every day. Moving that needle, man. Moving that needle. That's it. I just got to move that
Yeah.
needle every day.
So obviously you got this, in the last 3 months, you've got somewhat of a from a promise to like a regimen.
There, yeah,
Um, but I'm a little curious here as to like how do you celebrate wins? Because like I think if I recall on the gram, you posted a video about like going to get pizza, like the best pizza you could find or something. Like tell me about that. And I put that in the category of like celebrating the wins because
yeah,
that's a long way away from eating water for a couple weeks.
yeah,
So like, how do you celebrate wins?
for sure. So my wife and I, we had this conversation. I always ask her since we've met, what do you want out of life? There's no boundary on that answer. So what do you want? Because you can have it, and I know what I want. And I talk a lot about freedom. All I need is all I need ever. You know what I'm saying? If all my needs are met, everything else is supplementary. I really don't need it. It's never a thing. Um, I'm not money motivated, things like that. But one day we were having a conversation. And I was like, man, one day we're gonna go overseas. You're gonna try a restaurant. You're gonna love it so much. You're gonna crave it. And I want to be able to say, okay, let's book a flight and go get it and come right back. And Chicago being the city where I'm from, it's not so far fetched. I do have family there that I can stay with and things like that. But my wife had a craving. We both had a craving. And I said, book a flight right now. We're gonna go.
That's my kind of carrying on. Oh
Book a
my
flight
god.
right now. And I said, like, why can't we? You work from home, remote, literally. I'm, full-time content creator. The account looking nice. Let's go. Let's do it. And we did it. And we had such a good time. We brought my little brother, and it was just like I felt so rich. rich in time. The fact that I didn't have to text or call a boss and say, "Hey, I need this day off," or when how much PTO do I have? Like we said, book the flight and let's go. And we left everything and we went, you know? So that's what that came from. That was celebrating a win from way back. It wasn't anything specific recently, but it was like, this is something that I never would have imagined I'd be doing right now or able to do. So that
Yeah.
was special. It was
It,
special.
I feel like there are certain markers in your life
Mhm.
that, because just like the moment when,
Probably got 9,000 followers at this point. Getting like couple brand deals, like $500, $300 here and there. Go to LA. I was in LA for a month. I got an email. I got another email from this lady. Another email. I'm like, she's telling me she want me to work, but she's not giving the rate. Usually they say on one video rate 600. So we gotta do. She ends up DMing me on Instagram like 3 times. Hey, we really want to work with you, but obviously if you don't want to work, it's okay. Just let me know. So I was like, hey, yeah, what is it? Man, it was a scope. It was a mouthwash thing. Man, we must have squeezed about this one video. The budget was 9 grand.
oh,
What?
scope the mouthwash.
I had 17,000 followers at this point. Like, no way, bro. No way. Probably got 9,000 followers at this point. Getting like couple brand deals, like $500, $300 here and there. Go to LA. I was in LA for a month. I got an email. I got another email from this lady. Another email. I'm like, she's telling me she want me to work, but she's not giving the rate. Usually they say on one video rate 600. So we gotta do. She ends up DMing me on Instagram like 3 times. Hey, we really want to work with you, but obviously if you don't want to work, it's okay. Just let me know. So I was like, hey, yeah, what is it? Man, it was a scope. It was a mouthwash thing. Man, we must have squeezed about this one video. The budget was 9 grand.
Oh,
What?
scope the mouthwash.
I had 17,000 followers at this point. Like, no way, bro. No way.
You first moved out to LA. There were certain realities that defined where you were in life.
Mhm.
And when that changes, and you it's almost, I would say, just as important to like reframe your mind. And I think this totally speaks to even health,
Yeah.
but there are certain differences about your life that when you decide to, let's book the flight right now, I think it rewires your brain to think differently about how you view yourself and your capability and what you have access to. And like that, it's a mindset shift that I think really speaks to that 1% better that's compounding over time.
Yeah.
You look up and you're like, man, like that I can cash in a little bit. Like,
Like for pizza. Like
yes.
like I called my mom, I said, hey, we craving pizza, we'll be there. Well, you in Houston, what you mean? Yeah, we booked the flight. Like, it's that bad. We'll be there for a little bit and come back home. Uh but yeah, that's very important. It was a kind of feeding a younger version of myself that didn't get to do that, and it was a lot of needs were met with that decision. Just promises I made myself, you know, love and kind of casting a vision to my wife that like it was Chicago this time. One, it might be Dubai next time. It might be, it's just it, there is no boundary. There's no limit, you know. So yeah.
Speaking of no limits, uh,
Mhm.
I mean, I'm sure the offers, they started coming in. You tell a story about how, you got an offer and it was, a nice offer, but you had to turn it down because you felt like if I remember correctly, you said one, the alignment wasn't really there in terms of perhaps maybe the expectations and what you were able to commit to at the time. But you felt like the agreement that you would have to make would almost be discounting the person that you would be, the future value of the creator, person, and the brand that you're building. How do you know when it's time to say no? Because you went from the season where you're like, just open everything. And now you've seemed to really like have filtered and refined your vision to say no to sizable checks. I mean, like what does that look like for you?
Yeah. There was a story before this when I was in LA a year ago, because I did LA twice. That's where I met my wife. But I had the opportunity to work with a very, very famous celebrity. And she needed something like that that was gonna require me like so much time and effort. It was for her birthday. She wanted me to shoot some content for her. She really liked what I did. And I have been working with celebrities in LA for a little bit now. So she had proof of work and she was like, yes, I want that. I don't want a videographer with a big camera. Like he's doing what I want. I was in San Diego at the time. She needed me in LA. It was her manager texted me at like 2:30. LA traffic. I don't know if you know about LA traffic, but that's without traffic, an hour, 20-minute drive. With traffic, it's probably like a 4-hour drive. So my typical rates were 1,500 for that. It was like, so I was like, okay, for one, you just texted me out of nowhere. Two, I need I need a convenience fee. Like I'm jumping off. I'm about to be in traffic for 4 hours. Like, come on. So I said 2,500, and she responded that her accountant only capped her off at 1,500, something like that. And I was shaking in my boots because part of me was like, dude, if my audience sees me work with this celebrity, it's gonna make me look good. But the other half was like, she's such an influence. If everyone in the industry knows how much she paid for it, I'm stuck. I'm stuck at that value. So I said no. I turned it down, and the flow of opportunity that came after that, you wouldn't have even like I couldn't tell that I just turned down that money. And I was very proud of myself because I've been a yes man. I've been hustling. I've been a couch hopper. It's not it's not. It was very rare that I got to say no to anything. I done had myself in some very toxic situations, very toxic business deals, just so that I can eat. And the fact that I said no was very powerful for me. So in the industry like this, yes, that deal, the number. If you look at okay, if they send me this money, my bank account is going up by this much. It looks good. But when you think about the amount of work that I was willing to do for this amount and who they may talk to and how this may box me in this industry and what other companies and marketing agencies think that they can price me at, I was like, I can't do it. It was way too much. And you don't get what you deserve, you get what you negotiate. And so I
Right.
just I just was like, they weren't budging. I've had companies pay me 4x that for one video, and it's like, so it's out there. Like my audience, someone that values me like that, they are out there, and they will find their way to me. So I can't sell myself short. It was interesting though. It was interesting.
Yeah, honestly, I think that's one of the biggest distinctions for me, uh, particularly on my journey, like understanding uh, when I know my worth and when I know what I'm willing to say no to. And sometimes it's not even just money. To your point, like it could just be the terms or the
Uh-huh.
the environment or and it's tough. I mean, I
Yeah.
think it's a luxury. Let's be very clear. It's a luxury when you can make that type of decision and it's not going to shatter you financially. But I think there are even times where, I mean, you know, I've literally decided to resign from a job and had to make sure I had something lined up, uh, because I knew like, hey, this isn't a fit. And I have compassion, especially for if you're watching this, most likely you might be in that kind of spot where you're trying to figure out your next steps. And so um there is a balance. Like, yeah, you might be in a tight spot right now, but there will come a day where if you're clear about your vision enough, you will be saying no more often than you're saying yes. And so yeah, I commend you for even just having the courage. And it seems like the courage came at the beginning of this journey where you had to step into that coach's office. Um,
Yes.
and so technically, to your point, like saying no to a celebrity is technically a little bit lower on the totem pole than walking away from, a dream that you felt like was handed to you. Um, so in terms of like just money, what are some of the biggest money lessons, like things that you'll keep for life that you've learned? And let's talk about some money mistakes. Like walk me through like, hey,
Man.
the highs and lows of what you've learned about money so far.
Let's start with some money mistakes. Let's end on a let's you know what I'm saying on a good note. Uh Money mistake. I mean, obviously not investing and not saving. I think I don't know. Can I be completely honest? I don't want to sound like a guru or anything because I'm not. I'm definitely not a money guru. And as my money is expanding, I'm finding myself having to talk to people and ask questions on what I should do with it and things like that. And becoming more curious. Even my wife and I have conversations on this, like what do we want to invest in? You know, YouTube is saying this, TikTok is saying this, your parents are saying this. So I wouldn't say that I made any money mistakes, super drastic. Credit card bills, that's a money mistake. I would say like credit is not that is not your money. So yes, it may be able to probably got 9,000 followers at this point. Getting like couple grand deals like $500, $300 here and there. Go to LA. I was in LA for a month. I got an email. I got another email from this lady. Another email. I'm like, she's telling me she want me to work, but she's not giving the rate. Usually they say on one video rate 600. So we gotta do. She ends up DMing me on Instagram like 3 times. Hey, we really want to work with you, but obviously if you don't want to work, it's okay. Just let me know. So I was like, hey, yeah, what is it, man? It was a scope. It was a mouthwash thing, man. We must have squeezed about this one video. The budget was 9 grand.
Oh,
What?
scope the mouthwash.
I had 17,000 followers at this point. Like, no way, bro. No way. Got my apartment in LA. It was I was there. Met my wife. Yeah. That's how it happened. Like that's what made me believe in social media money after that.
And then obviously, I'm assuming there were just more
Yeah, throughout the years.
situations like that that came
Yeah,
up.
yeah, 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 for sure.
And so do you feel like, because I mean, you're talking, I mean, I feel like if people might think, oh my gosh, I have to have so many followers to get a $9,000 to $10,000 range contract.
Uh-huh.
What type of advice would you give creators who are, I would say, don't have the following that you have, or they might have more followers but aren't monetizing the way you are?
Yeah, I would say I'm definitely blessed. I don't know what it's like to outreach. Every penny I have made on social media and the brand deal side has been inbound. Um, I lied. My manager, they brought now my team, they brought me some good deals last year too. But like for the most part, most of my money was they reached out to me. First perspective I would say is put yourself in the shoes of a company. Let's take whatever you got in your bank account right now. If it's $800, okay, and you have, I don't know, a pencil you want to sell, you want somebody to market. One of your friends, and your friends are like, yeah, pay me freaking, or okay, your friend makes basketball content. Why would you reach out to your friend that makes basketball content to post a video of your pencils? The brands don't align, right? Him posting them pencils, he may get 10,000s of people to look at it, but they're gonna look at it and be like, okay. So when you think about a company spending money on you, they have to see that their product fits into that niche of work that you're creating. It must be an alignment there for sure. I wouldn't say the following matters as much as the influence and, you know, how you make people feel when you creating content. What is your community looking like? Are people commenting on your stuff? Are they asking you where you got this from? Are they curious about you? Because that is what's going to drive sales or even awareness about products. So you just gotta, I think some people do it naturally. Some people don't even take that conscious approach to it. Like me, I didn't know what I was doing. I just now understand why I succeeded last year. And I was having a hard time succeeding. No, 2023, I'm having a hard time succeeding 2024 because I wasn't aware of what I was doing. So I'm straying away from certain things, but I'm like, oh, snap. And now I'm finally getting back into it for real, like strategically knowing what I'm doing. But that's a part of the journey. I think it's trial and error for sure. But for simple terms, you have to be marketable. You have to have an audience. You got to have a community of people that's really curious about what you're doing and the message you're portraying in every video. I was doing day in the life videos, going to Target, showing my skincare routine, showing my products, and people were like, "Yes, let's add this mouthwash to your Target haul, right?" You know what I'm saying? And we'll pay you to do that. Or let's add this. Let's add our laundry detergent to your laundry routine. We'll pay you to post this. You know, people be out here doing dance videos, getting millions of views, thinking that somebody's gonna pay them to market a skincare product or something. Like, no, the alignment isn't there.
Um, I think what's interesting is you were saying that you weren't trying, but I think if you boil it down to one word, it's really just authenticity. I think
Yeah,
by just documenting what you were doing and people can relate to it, it you're not having to sell when you're
yeah,
marketing.
for
And I
sure.
think that's the connection piece. I almost in my mind, the communication strategist in me is almost like, the lock in feels like it's not just your superpower is not just helping people with their fitness. I think particularly like you have your eye on this demographic of like young men. I think it's the transformation that you're really helping people to find is like, I can help you unlock and level up. It's like you've been doing the thing and you kind of see some results, but if you just lock in with me, yes, we're going to handle health, but this is all related. Like what you're about to unlock is you finding out how to attract your audience, not just followers, but your audience, people who are looking for you to
Yes.
employ you, to pay you, to follow you, to what and that, my friend, that's some gold right there. Now I see the multi-million dollar exit.
You see it.
That's I see it. I
You see
see
it.
it. That's some stuff right there.
Yeah, man. That's you hit it right on the head with that. I mean, let's just call a spade a spade. Everything you need to know is free on the internet to get to where you need to be, right? This information is not It's not far-fetched. It's not millions of dollars away. It's not in the degree. So the degree of separation is something not tangible. It's ahead. So on my journey, I realized I was never fighting hunger. I was never fighting finances. I was never fighting confidence. It was a belief system. It was a mental game that I had to overcome. I had to choose to look at it this way instead of that way. And this fitness thing, I had hired a coach to get ready for my wedding. And first time I did 90 days of anything consistently. Now, I've been I may have been on pursuit of something for 4 years, but best believe 30 days was good, 60 days was off. No, now with 90 days strong, I changed my mind. I changed my mind up. I started accessing versions of me that I could dream of. Like, what the heck? So with this challenge, I understand the power of me, not in an arrogant way, but I found a trend that everyone I encounter has the same reaction and response to my anointing. It's the same thing. All of my friends, people I meet on the street and I have conversations with, even with this, like you reaching out to me and seeing the content. I got people, one of the guys in my lock-in challenge, he said, the reason I joined was because it's not just about fitness. I can tell you genuinely desire to help men. It's bigger than that. And I'm like, the fact that you got that from my content, as much as I show my six pack, as much as I show, like, my message has not missed. You're not here for the wrong reasons. Proves that like my anointing and my voice and what I'm saying is working. God has his hand in my chest as I'm speaking these words. So I'm like, if I can bring someone, because I'm not coach, I'm coach, but I'm really a version of you that you're trying to be. We're running the same race. I'm just 90 days ahead of you. I mean, I'm sending my check-in meals too. I'm still reporting to a coach. I'm still having days where I crave brownies. But we are all in this chat and we're all locked in. Now you got 10 different set of eyeballs looking at you, sending their check-ins, and it's inspiring you and influencing you to keep doing the same thing. And with that, you're proving to yourself that you can do the thing that isn't popular, that isn't settling for your cravings and bad decisions and things like that. And you walk out of that lock-in a different person. You walk out of that lock-in, you don't want to walk away. You don't want to walk away. And 2 weeks is when I found that I couldn't go back to living how I was living after working with my coach physically. I couldn't eat fast food anymore. 2 weeks. That's all it took was 14 days. Not 5 days of eating clean and then the weekend I eat whatever and then 5 days. No. 14 days straight. 4 meals a day, all whole foods. I'm eating less than 30 grams of sugar a day, like, and it didn't feel like I was on a diet at all. And that was the moment. I plan on having men's retreats somewhere down the line with these guys that I'm building with. As this creation and idea grows and evolves, I want to hand select and hand pick a few. We go to the Cali beaches of Malibu, have a you know whatever. We got a coach there training us. We got a chef there making our meals. We got journals. We got conversations. We're just setting the table for that next chapter, and just pouring into ourselves. So my vision is huge for this, not gonna lie. It's pretty big.
It's big until you see it in person,
Mm,
and then you're like, "Oh, it was
mm.
it wasn't that." Yeah, like, it's big until you start taking these steps toward it. Because I don't see it as something that's far-fetched or something that's, uh, like, unattainable. It
Yeah.
it's gonna take forever to get there. Yeah. As a matter like, I
Showing
think
up.
post the show, I actually have, like I'm, like, burning with ideas and
Yeah,
actually
yeah,
somebody that I feel like,
for
uh,
sure.
you should meet. He's actually my coach, and he, is like, interestingly enough, I ran across him just in the gym, but he has this way of coaching that comes across very like he can hold you accountable but not be judgmental.
Mhm.
Um and I'm kind of like on a second round of he does like a it's like 12 weeks that where he'll, like work with you to and his pitch to me was the first time he's like, after you do this the first time, you won't need a personal trainer ever again. And I was like, yeah, whatever. But I the level of consistency and the person that I've become, especially after that first 12 weeks, and it wasn't like it was just him and the program. I think to your point, it's like I accessed a person that was underneath all this, and I'm starting to see so much progress. And literally, I think to your point about you saying like, "Hey, I'm just 90 days ahead." Like I can see like where I am now is pretty much where you started before you like because
Yeah,
you like hit this crazy spot too. Like it was like I think just like you do the scroll and you kind of see like okay he's got a transformation going on. Let's see like where he started, and it's been great. Like you are
yeah,
like
appreciate it.
like what are you doing? But it's you're just showing up. You
That's
know.
it. That's really it. That's really it. I remember my coach told me, he said, "Imagine you looking at your best." I said, "Yeah." I'm like, "Yeah, this was me in high school." He's like, "Let me see." Oh yeah, you're gonna look 10 times better than that. And it's hard to see. You look yourself in the mirror, you're like, what the? You pinch your skin, and you like, it don't look much different, right? If I lose this much fat, man, my wife now she give me hugs, man. That makes it easier to go show up again. It's just so much. I mean, shout out to her too. She joined the day I joined. She lost 18 pounds, still on her journey. Her birthday's in 2 weeks, but like seeing her transformation has been amazing. But she didn't let me do it by myself. That made it even more fun. I'm not watching like my life partner was like, nah, you're not about to become all sexy and I'm not about to become all you know what I'm saying? Like
So
she
we both got to be in this thing.
but I love that. Cause
Yeah.
she wasn't she if it was up to her, she probably wouldn't have took that opportunity if she met a coach in the gym, ran into rub shoulders. She might be like, oh yeah, that's interesting. But who knows if she would have came home and be like, babe, we own that. Like this is what we're doing. It was me and I have a show. I'm actually competing in October. He convinced me to compete. So
Which is next level. Like,
it is.
did you say yes like e- with excitement or were you reluctant? Like when you thought I'm gonna compete in a bodybuilding competition and I've never done this before.
I think I answered in flow. I'm so content. Like I have the momentum. It's not like I've been doing this 12 weeks in agony and I'm like been waiting to eat a pizza. Like I'm like, whether you're coaching me or not, I'm living this life. And I had built such a relationship. I don't know if you could tell, I'm a very passionate, I love people. I don't let anything get mundane. I asked him, how was your day? I'm not worried about my check-in, my food. I'm just checking in on you, bro. How are you feeling? Are you okay? What's going on? And we had built such a bond. Um, I got to learn a little bit more about him and his journey and what he's trying to do. He's trying to be a world-class coach.
Mm.
What he helped me understand was for a world-class coach to be, you need a world-class client. Not all your clients are willing to go that far. And I was like, I want my kids to see what they will be able to do if they put in the right amount of work. So this isn't just for me. I really don't care that much. I already have my physique that I want. Like I'm super content. But if I can push myself a little bit more uncomfortable, learn more about my body and my anatomy, I get to support a friend and you know, be a trophy of his to help attract more clients and feed and fuel his dream of becoming, that's an easy yes for me. I don't need to do it 10 times. I don't need to be this bodybuilder of an athlete, but I've never done it. That's like, why not? It's a new experience for me. So it's right before my birthday, right before Thanksgiving. So, I'll get to pig out during Thanksgiving and everything.
Yes,
So,
yes.
but that's where that came from. It wasn't an excitement. It wasn't a reluctant or like it was really just like, why stop? Like, I see the vision. I see where the type of seeds that this will be planting by doing this, you know, I don't really mess up. I haven't really messed up. So I might as well keep going. Just keep sending me new meal plans and checking in on me. And October come, we'll be shredded and ready to go. So, and it gave me more things to document about. That's another thing too. Anybody out there wanting to create content, um, in the nicest way possible, no one gives an F about you. No one has a reason to. And you have to be a mirror, and someone must see themselves in your content always. Having a North Star is 75% of the battle. It doesn't have to be far. It doesn't have to be $1 million. It doesn't have to be this six-figure car. Like, a North Star is just, my 2 feet are here and I want to get here. The journey of documentation between that point and success, that is something worth watching, especially if you can make someone else see themselves in that journey. And that's what bodybuilding is for me. My content probably won't look like most bodybuilders' content because it's going to be speaking from a place of, I'm experiencing something I've never done before, and I'm pushing my body to a limit that I've never taken it before. Not, if you want abs or a six pack, do these 4 workouts. If you want to look like me, I'm not taking that approach. It's going to be very subtle and very inspirational. I want you to look at it like, I want to switch careers, and that's an experience I've never done before. It's pushing me so far out of my comfort zone. Like, I want you to see that through my journey and something completely different. You know, that the story being told will remain as broad as it can reach.
All I know is when you start seeing all this on my social media, just know where I got it from, okay?
Hey, you know, I'm
Just
I'm
know
I'm with it, bro.
I
I'm with
I heard it here first.
it. I'm with it, man. I'm a root for you. Yup. That's what I'm talking about. Yup, yup.
Yes. All right, so, let's close on this. You said, "Hey, I'm doing this. I want my kids to see just this is what happens when you just decide to be your best self." What do you want your legacy to be when, you're old and gray?
You know, I feel like I think about this a lot, and none of my thoughts have fulfilled, and I haven't been satisfied with any of the thoughts that I came up with. Right? You got the financial legacy. You have, it's a lot of different ways and a lot of different things I think I want to leave behind to just carry on for generations and generations and generations. I would say, and one of the first things I'm going to teach my kids as of right now, because I don't think this is going to be the last interview. So, we'll be able to answer this question again. But for where I am right now, where my 2 feet are, the one place where there are no rules is your imagination. And for you to put a fence on your imagination is doing yourself such a disservice, because reality is going to put a detour in front of you, all kinds of detours and challenges and adversities and things that say you can't do that. You don't have enough money, you can't get this loan. You can't. But in your imagination, you have to be a free thinker. And I think for as long as you will allow yourself to imagine, like, at some point you have to become so curious about it that you do the right things to make it come true. So that's like been big for me. Is I have these things, people call them visualizations and meditations. I really wouldn't say it's so structured like that, but I have moments where I go in the car and I allow myself to think and think so specific. Like I'll be like, my wife and I just woke up. I still got my Rolex on from last night. It's the day date, 41 millimeter. She got on her Cartier. We had a fun night last night, but we are focused. I got to get back to the company. So I got to roll out of bed, hit the gym. It's like 5 in the morning. Like I allow myself to think like this. Oops, my dog just shot on the floor because we forgot to freaking take him out last night, but he a puppy, so it's all good. Like I just allow myself to freely think. And I want anybody around me, friends, family, children, grandchildren, to have a safe space with me to freely. I will freely think with you, and just talk about it. Let's talk about it. Tell me what you see. You know, that's a legacy to leave, man. Because I wasn't always allowed to think freely. I always had to think realistic. Like, how can you tell someone to think realistic? You can be realistic, but to tell me to think realistically is kind of crazy.
I think that is a very powerful legacy to leave, especially with children. Um, because to your point, the world is going to tell them all the things that they cannot do. But that is 100, 100%. Uh, oh, wow. Sorry, I just got a text from my wife and I just saw them. I'm like, oh, I got to run. I didn't realize how this conversation got so good.
No, I did. It was a real good one.
But like I think that's so powerful because the world will try to tell them what they cannot do. And leaving them with a legacy to be able to see themselves beyond where they are is, I think, just priceless. And so, yes, this will not be our last conversation.
At all.
Uh, we we locked in, but for now,
Definitely.
I got to run because I'm trying to sell my house,
But
and
yeah,
someone's trying to come see it.
but
So
yeah. You
I
gotta
need to get
stage
out.
it, all that. Get it, yeah. Turn the lights off, fold the computer, take it with you. Yeah,
I I appreciate you so much. Thank you for joining me today. I promise you, this is not going to be the last time you hear from me. We'll be talking soon.
definitely. Shoot me an email. Let's connect, man. Let's talk about it. I would love to learn more about you. I have a lot more questions. You know, obviously, I was letting it be what it was gonna be, but I am curious about you too. So let's let's
Let's
definitely
do it.
chop it, man. All right, Mark. That house already sold. I hope you know that.
Come on, Prophet. All right, see you, Sean.
All right, man. Take it easy.